Hey y'all, welcome to Mindset of a Beast.
Hello, hello.
I'm your trainer Trey.
And I'm your trainer Cass.
And today we are going over some interesting topics that I think will help a lot of you going into this new year and these new goals and help you be successful in the gym.
Yes, yes. So today what we're going to be touching on is the real reason why people don't change.
Yes.
And it's not just time.
No, not at all. A lot of it is self-inflicted or self-sabotage. And a lot of people don't even know that they're doing it. So we're just going to go over some of these tips to kind of help you out going into the future, all right? So
yes. So let's kind of go over, like you said, it's self-sabotage. So let's talk about cause and effect.
Cause and effect. That's to me, I think that's the big one. A lot of people, when they come to the gym, they feel like them moving their bodies is going to be the one-stop shop.
Yeah,
right?
The one thing that, I put in my work.
I did everything I needed to do. Where are my results? And the truth is that's not the case. The workout part, yes, it is hard. It is uncomfortable and you sweat and it's painful, but that is the easiest part to fitness. And we can't stress that enough. Like there's variables to this thing. Like there's the gym part, then there's the recovery part, and then there's the eating part, and all these parts have little categories underneath them. So subcategories, there you go. Thank you. So smart. So smart. So just getting into the gym part, yes, working out in the gym, huge. It's great to start moving your body, building muscle, getting active, more functional, so we don't get all like decrepit once we hit 50, 60 years old, right? But, it's a big but, if we're not doing other things, then that workout part is pointless, right? And not only that, when we're in the gym, there is levels, right? You come into the gym and it's your first time in God knows how many years, right? I don't know how people do that when they tell us
that they've gone like 25 years
I haven't
without
worked out
working out
in 6 months. Like that to me.
Yeah.
Just as like, what have you been doing for 6 months with your life, man? And I understand people get busy and stuff like that. But if we are going to be successful, there's no long breaks. This is a lifestyle. It's an everyday thing. And then even on your off days, it's still an everyday thing. There's a thing called active recovery, which we'll get into. But if you are a beginner in fitness, great, congratulations. Welcome to the life, right? There is a timeline that you're allowed to be in for that beginner phase. It's not a forever phase, right? If you come into the gym and you're starting with 5-pound dumbbells, great job, right? It's kind of like being a newborn baby, okay? Where there's phases, right? After like 3 years, if you still have baby talk,
there's a concern.
You would be a concerned parent. You'd be like, why isn't my baby forming these new words yet? Other babies at 3-4 years old are still forming words, but this baby's not. Same goes for the gym. If you start in the gym, 5 pounds, great job, but we're still there 6 months from now, or if you start with 10 pounds and we're still there 6 months from now, there's a problem, right? And that's usually because you got satisfied and comfortable with this first level. And in order to grow in fitness, we gotta get past that first baby zone, which is the beginner phase, which is gonna suck. Just like coming to the gym at the very beginning sucked, right? So it's nothing that's like, it's not calculus. This fitness thing is very simple. So if we go from our 5 pounds, a month later, we go to 10 pounds. A month later, we start progressing up to 5 pounds. That's how we start to form muscle. That's when we start to burn more calories and we start to body composition, where we turn that fat into muscle, right? And that's where you want to be once it comes to the gym phase. You got to constantly test your limits in the gym safely but there's another way to this, right? Because if we're not doing the other parts, it's going to make that part progressing in the gym very, very difficult, because then you're going to get injured.
So real quick, because
Sorry, that was a lot of words.
no, that was great. That was great because you touched on a few things. You said that just showing up to the gym and doing your workout and not seeing the results and blah blah blah, blah, like it could feel pointless.
Yes.
And I want people to understand that yes, we go to the gym and yes, you could still build muscle under all the layers of fat. You could still technically get strong under all the layers of fat. But we know what you really want. You want the look.
You want the leanness.
You want
the
the
muscle
leanness.
definition.
You want the look. You want the definition.
There's
So
nothing wrong with that.
it makes the workout pointless when you're not seeing the results you want to actually see. So that's what he means by body composition. Like, what are you actually doing to get to the result that you want?
Yes.
And most of y'all ain't doing all of the things. Like he said, all of the categories with the subcategories, you're not doing all of the things. So then you end up sometimes comparing yourself to other people that are willing to do all of the things.
Yes.
So I just wanted to touch back on the fact that, like he said, it's a lifestyle. You do this day in and day out. Just like you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you plug in your damn phone, because most people, they ain't gonna forget plugging in their phone, but they're gonna forget stretching. So
oh man, that gets me on my son.
So cause and effect.
Cause and effect. So if we're not progressing in the gym as far as our weight training, your cause and effect, no progressing in the gym, the output of that will be no definition. It will be no minimizing your weight loss, because it's very easy to lose weight at the very beginning, right?
It's fun at the beginning.
It's fun at the very beginning, but the more you get into this and the longer you go, the more detailed you have to be about your fitness. That's where the progressive overload starts to happen. And I know it just seems like we have to explain this every time. Well, if I go up in weight, I won't see the entire board. So
or
what?
the entire workout.
I won't see the entire workout. So what? If you see 80% of the exercises on the board, but you went up in weight, congratulations, you grew that day. As opposed to you seeing everything and using the same weight that you've been using for the past 6 months, pointless. Let me say it again. It is pointless if you are continuing to use the same weight every day. You will not grow. Your muscles will not develop. Your muscles are very smart and will adapt. That's why a lot of people, they lose a lot of weight at the very beginning. And I saw this all the time when I first started personal training at the YMCA. They will do the elliptical, do a little bit of strength training, maybe, and then leave every single one of them had the same response. Well, when I first started, I lost 14 pounds in the first 2 weeks, and then since then, I don't know what happened. I know what happened. You got satisfied, and then you stopped there. That's not how fitness works. It's constant development, constant upping it, right?
And real quick, because you said upping it. And I know, like, with your app, I know with the gym board, I know that just workouts in general, when we up it, like you said, we get afraid that we're not going to be able to complete the full workout.
Right.
Only because I've heard this question several times.
Yeah, shoot.
Is it worth it to up it if it's also going to affect your form? Like, at what point do you up it if your form is still crap?
You fix your form based off your flexibility. That's off one of the other subcategories that we just talked about. If you need to up it in the gym, but you cannot up it in the gym if you don't work on your flexibility, cause and effect.
And I'm gonna
Yes.
I'm gonna say this because a lot of people will increase their weight, or they will get on other people to increase their weight. And a lot of times people are not ready to increase their weight because their form, like you said, is not there. So people will go into the gym thinking, but I lift really heavy. I'm lifting the heaviest I've ever lifted.
Which is great.
But their form is trash.
Yeah, if your form's trash, there is no compromising technique. Technique is not optional in the gym.
So what does technique with great, like a good weight do? Like, what does the technical aspect do? Because a lot of people
allow you to use the proper muscles in order for the exercise that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you are doing bicep curls and you are swinging the weight, if the prime mover is biceps, but you're swinging your hips, using your hips, your glutes, your hamstrings, your shoulders, and your upper back to get the weight up, maybe 10-20% is bicep curls. So yes, you are curling 50 pounds, but if you're using swinging, then really you're curling 20 pounds, maybe 30 pounds, which you might as well just go down in weight and slow down the reps. So that way we're hitting and being more effective on that muscle tissue.
And that's where a lot of that body composition.
Yes, you will see more development slowing down. And I know we tend to go fast in the gym, but that doesn't mean, like, let me speed up the reps. No, that means I need you to hustle from exercise to exercise, but that does not mean I need you to speed up the exercise. Control is the name of the game. If we're out of control, we have this thing where we're in boxing and we're doing burnouts on the hand pads.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say it all the time when we're doing, like, we're just doing turnovers for our 1-2, 1-2, 1-2s, and we're just burning out. But if you are dropping your left hand as you're throwing your right jab, right? Mm-hmm. Then you going fast doing this is pointless because you're leaving yourself exposed to get knocked out, right? So if you're gonna go fast with the right technique as opposed to going fast with trash technique, right? Quality over quantity. So if in order for you to do the right punches, if you want to go fast, slow it down and then develop that speed with technique over time. And it's going to take time.
So to recap on that, the technique is going to help you develop the right muscle groups you need for the body composition to also take place.
Right.
Boom.
Yes.
That was awesome.
But to get back to the flexibility, if you are not taking care of or not doing the things like foam roll stretcher, like we say all the time. I had a lady come to the gym, or a lady in the gym who asked me a question. I love when y'all ask these questions because it actually makes me feel like I'm doing my job as a trainer on her range of motion for her squats. And I told her, well, that's usually because of tight glutes, hamstrings, calves, right? And if you're not able to get a full range of motion squat, then you're not working all the muscles in order to get toned legs and toned glutes. You're limiting yourself. So you can't lift heavy with good form and get the full range of motion like you're supposed to, which will...
You can't lift heavy with good form?
No, you won't be able to lift heavy with good form with poor flexibility.
Oh, okay, yeah. And
if you can't get full range of motion with that good form, then you are limiting your strength, you're limiting the amount of muscles that we're working, and you're limiting your caloric burn. And that's all this weight loss thing is a numbers game. Like, you have to burn more than you lose. And if you want to maximize your caloric burn, you gotta be able to work all the muscle groups. It just helps you overall.
Yes. And so, like he said, caloric burn, I'm glad you got into this because that leads me into the fact that most of the time people want the body composition, they want the results, but they're not willing to put in the work in all of the areas. Like you said, the categories and the subcategories.
Yes.
So that pretty much meaning that people want the results or they want the new body with the old habits.
Can't do it. They contradict each other. Cancel each other out. That's where a lot of people start to plateau because they think that the gym part is the end all be all or be all end all, right? And that's just not the case. And a lot of it comes from a lack of knowledge. A lot of people don't know about, eating at a caloric deficit. Y'all do because y'all been with us long enough, but still a lot of people don't understand what that looks like.
Yeah. So then what happens if you know, but then you're not changing?
Then that's when we get into self-sabotage, right? You just don't want to. You're not disciplined enough, right? You're being a child.
You're not prioritizing.
You're being a grown child. And it happens. It happens. To most adults don't want to fully grow up, or they're disciplined in one area but not this area. And in this area, if you're not disciplined in all the areas, you will not see the results as fast as you can, right? Because you're only hindering yourself when this happens. If you don't know how many calories you're supposed to be consuming in a day, that hinders you, right? If you're not logging in everything you're eating, that hinders you.
Yeah, keep going.
If you don't know how many calories you're supposed to be consuming and you know you need to be at a caloric deficit, then that hinders you because you have to eat less or you have to burn more than what you're consuming. So let's just get into what that looks like, right? For example, if you want to know how many calories you need to eat in a day, a very simple way, I love numbers, right? Mm-hmm. Take your body weight, multiply it by 15. That's how many calories you possibly need to eat in a day. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, to eat at a caloric deficit, you could go anywhere between 2 to 800 calories, less than that number that we just talked about. Okay? This is very crucial. 6 to 800 is huge. That's a lot. That's usually very uncomfortable for a lot of people, and they're not able to maintain that for a long time. So a pretty comfortable area is about 300 to 500 calories less than that body weight times 15 number. Okay?
Okay. So like, for example, just to keep things simple.
Yes.
If you were to eat 1,000 calories, which none of y'all should be doing, I'm just keeping simple numbers.
Not enough.
Simple numbers.
If you're not eating enough calories, your metabolism slows down and you won't lose anything.
You ain't gonna lose anything.
You're starving yourself, okay?
But for simple numbers, you know what? Let me not say 1,000 because most people.
Let's just say 2,000. 2,000.
So let's say 2,000 calories. I'm going to probably eat, maybe you said anywhere. Let's say 400 less. 400. So about 1,600 calories.
That's where you need to be safely.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna eat around 1,600 calories. Now that's just to do it without exercise, correct? Because that's being at a caloric deficit without exercise.
No, that's even with exercise.
Even with exercise. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, well, I guess, yeah, you can.
If you're active.
If you're active. So I want you guys to think, if you are eating 1,600 calories, and you are keeping track of this 1,600 calories,
which you have to do.
It's
not optional.
Then that means you are lower. You should be able to lose. The problem is, and this is why I was like, the problem is that especially for women, mm-hmm. Nobody wants to freaking keep track. And for all of my ladies out there...
It's too much work.
For all of my ladies out there, you need to make the decision. Do you want to waste the time and energy and have all of the disappointment not tracking and not getting the results you want? Or just track the shit, just track the stuff and end up seeing the results. And I'm saying this because a lot of women come up to us and they're talking about their hormones, they're talking about premenopause, they're talking about high cortisol, they're talking about all these different factors, which I know I'm young, y'all. I know I look 18 and stuff, but your girl has been going through it too, all right? And I am letting you know right now that our bodies, with all the hormonal changes, the premenopause, all of that, you have to have a high protein diet. And most of us will eat more carbs and sugars, which your body has a harder time, especially when you're premenopausal or menopausal or post, has a harder time breaking down these sugars. But guess what? You don't want to change your old habits, but you want the new body. This is not a thing. Even for the fellas, they think they get to a point where they're fit, and then they're like, oh, the challenge of getting fit is over. Now let me start falling back into my old ways. And then slowly, people don't understand, slowly it starts creeping back on. And then people overnight are like, oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to be so dialed in, and you have to stop playing the game of, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it's not working. You know why it's not working. Because I guarantee you right now, if I ask you how much has your sugar intake been, you ain't going to have an answer. If I ask you how much your caloric intake was today, you're not going to have an answer.
Yeah, and that comes with maturity and growing up in fitness. And I'm not talking about like you was raised in the fitness game. I just mean at a certain point, you go from that newbie in the gym to a more intermediate level. And then we get into, okay, if you really, and we see it in the gym for those, and this is a huge part why I love my job, is when that light switches, when they go from baby to that grown up in fitness, where they're like, I'm tracking my food, I'm foam roll stretching, I'm going to cryo, I'm getting my deep tissue massages, I'm taking my ice baths, I'm showing up to the gym 5 days out of the week. Once we hit that level, you can't lose, right? It has nothing to do with the people you see on social media. If you see people on social media that are leaned out, it's because they grew up in fitness. It's because they matured a lot faster than what you're doing right now. Because you still want to use the excuses as, I don't know how much sugar and stuff like that. If you've been with us more than 3, 4, 5 months, right? It just comes to a point of, are you going to be disciplined enough to do the things we've already told you to do, right? And that's where we just have to just grow up a little bit more. I need you to mature a little bit faster. I had a lady get a compliment in the gym, and she had been with us for a while. And he said, man, you're leaning out. But she said the weight's still the same. But it's like, okay, if you're not seeing the number that you want to see, you need to ask your question, why? What am I doing that's causing me not to have the scale drop? And if you're not asking yourself that question and really seeking out the answer, then you really don't want it.
Yes, I agree. Because you could weigh the same and lean out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even if you don't see that you're leaning out, like he said,
muscle is heavy.
There's a problem if you're not even seeing that you're leaning out, which already means that you're not completely dialed in on all of the areas.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where you just have to change your habits.
Yeah.
You have to prioritize. There's people that are busier than you getting it done.
There's always somebody out there busier and working harder.
They have 10 kids, 2 full-time jobs, and
somehow they're still lean.
So it's a matter of really prioritizing, putting yourself first, and scheduling your days out. Not letting your days dictate what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So with that being said, y'all.
So make sure, do all the areas of fitness. Gym part easy, but do it. Recovery, your sleep, your stretching, your foam rolling, your deep tissue, you working on your mobility, you coming to yoga, you going to stretch classes. Those things will help you lift more and safer so you're not getting injured. And then your nutrition. Gotta dial in on your nutrition. You have to know your numbers. You have to know where you are throughout the day. If you want to be successful in this, it's not hard. It's just discipline. That's all it comes down to. You have the information. Now apply it. Okay.
Yes. Oh, and one quick thing. If you are lifting heavier, like he said, you got to make sure you're doing all of those things, but you also need to make sure that you're eating for it too, because a lot of people, they're not eating enough. So eat for your lifting.
Yes.
Other than that.
All right. So we hope this helps. All right. Drop a comment. Let us know.
Yeah, drop a comment, ask some questions. I would love to hit you back up.
And then we'll do this again real soon. All right.
All right. Thanks, guys, so much
Love
for
y'all.
joining Mindset of a Beast. Deuces.